Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. I am Adam Coble, which shouldn't be a surprise to you. It's certainly not a surprise to me, though if I woke up one morning and I was like, oh, who am I? What's going on? Well, I mean, that's what happens when you surround yourself with chaos all the time. I wonder how much corruption I have. I don't think I have any, significant bursts of corruption, if I had the opportunity to bind an abyssal spirit to my will, I would, but I just can't find them anywhere. And I haven't killed a man. No, haven't done that yet. I'm not a very good chaos cultist, but that's okay. I'm allowed to have 2 eyes and a head and 2 arms and no tentacles, and I'm doing okay, I think. I think we're doing all right. That's true. I have blasphemed the gods at pretty regular intervals. That's a great point. I would have definitely talked shit about the gods at some point or another, but that's all right. That's fine. I'm doing okay. I'm living my best chaos life. Thank you for coming, everybody. This is technically the title for this game session prep thing is episode 1.5 of Eat the Rich. Thank you for coming. If you don't know what Eat the Rich is yet, it is a 12-episode mini-series featuring the Zweihander RPG. We do it every Monday at 5 p.m. It's me, Masood from Jay Speller and Must Die, Rocket Orca from many things, including Goblins and Magic Podcasts, Blue Jay from lots of stuff. Blue Jay is a broadcaster in her own right. And then the return to role-playing with me of Andrew. So we've done 2 episodes. We did our character and world building episode, and we did our first narrative episode, and those are where we're at so far. And what I've been trying to do is think about small bursts of GM prep where I'm essentially doing the homework that came up during the first episode before the second episode, right? So today, I could probably just swing an improvised next session, right? I have players, and this last episode proved it, especially in the case of Blue Jay and Amber. I have players who are on the fucking ball. They are ready to support and to back me up when it comes to the rules stuff, and it's so nice. It's so cool to have that. It frees me up quite a lot from having to be the encyclopedic source of all Zweihander knowledge, which I just can't be without ever having played it more than once, but I could wing it. But what I'm trying to do is kind of focus in on, even if it's just little stuff, even if we're just sort of planting seeds for future episodes, this is a return to what's happened so far, what needs to happen next, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, we have a ton of stuff in the bank from the last one. So you know what? Let's just get to it. Let's start talking about what we expect from this episode, what kinds of things we might be needing in the second episode, and any other rules stuff we might need to look at or adjust. Now, we're playing. Here's the thing. You gain a chaos rank just for watching this, so enjoy that, I guess. So here's the thing. So with the mini series as it is, because it's only 12 episodes. I'm going to do what I do with every new role-playing game that I play. I'm going to play it as close to as written as possible, right? That is my plan. Play the game according to the rules of the game to learn the game. And then if we do a second season, or if we do another one-shot, if I ever play it again, that's when I'm going to start hacking and modifying the game for my group's kind of preferences. So mainly I'm thinking about something that I think is mostly a legacy port from the games that came before Zweihander. The reward model, if you've watched the show already, or if you've you know what? Hold on. I'm finding this guy really distracting. I just have to. You're hideous. Stop it. Just give me a break from your hideous face. There. Okay, that's better. Ooh. Anyway, so if you watch these kinds of streams, the role-playing game stuff I do, you know that for me, reward structures in the game are really important. And in this game, the reward structure is very much GM focused and built around the idea that the GM sort of presupposes what might or might not happen in the game. And so what I'd like to do is adjust the rules so that it better fits the game that I want to play, right? And I would start with a reward system. But for right now, I need to get used to playing the game first of all, right? So I need to figure out all of the core mechanics, how they interact before I start hacking the game. I'm trying to kind of avoid being the sort of RPG fan that looks at a game and thinks that they understand the game better than its designers, right? So whether it's Dungeons and Dragons or Burning Wheel or Torchbearer or whatever, I need to set a base level of understanding of a game before I start messing with it. Now, you could give me pretty much any Powered by the Apocalypse game, and I could probably, because of my experience with Dungeon World, I could probably chop it up and make something new without too much trouble. But Zweihander is, even though I'm familiar with Warhammer Fantasy 2nd Edition, this game deserves my attention for a short series to get a handle on it. I've already got some ideas about how I want to bend XP and what I would change it to do. Also about how I would make alignment sort of matter more in play. But again, that's me coming to the table from Burning Wheel and from Blades in the Dark, both of which have very clear sort of alignment for XP triggers, or they have rewards for doing specific things, which Zweihander default does not, right? So I think for now, I'm going to set aside any kind of thoughts for hacking and modifying the game. And we're just going to focus on learning the game as is and figuring out kind of what I need to use it to entertain you with a fun thing. Now, yeah, I mean, if I did get around to designing a new system for the experience thing, it'd be the kind of thing that I would definitely want to I'd want to share with folks. So, you know, we'll talk about that in a future thing. Maybe as part of a like a post-mortem on the campaign. Maybe after we do episode 12, maybe I'll sit down and we'll say, what would I change about Zweihander, right? How would I engage the hacking? Because the game asks for it, right? The game specifically calls out that we can create our own rules, that we are encouraged to do so. So yeah, you know, talking about it, that might be a fun thing that we could do, is we could just do a stream where I hang out and I chop it up and try to do something different with the XP system. Now, all of the other stuff that we experienced, right? The flow of fortune points, the combat, the limited combat that we played, I thought it was really fun. I had a really good time. I'm looking forward to picking fights that might be of any threat at all, but the spending AP and balancing that and like holding on to your AP versus using it, all of that stuff is really, it's really cool. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that. The alignment system surprised me a little because I somehow I had a disconnect and I didn't realize that your actual alignment doesn't really modify mechanically much at all. Like you don't get more or less corruption. You don't, get more or less reward if you play to your alignment. It's just there to kind of help you understand which way your character is leaning, which in Vincent Baker's parlance, I guess would mean that alignment isn't prescriptive, it's descriptive. And that might be, I'm going to make a note of that because I think that might be a good way to talk about this with the players. So maybe at the beginning of the next session, I'll try to remember to talk about this. So alignment is descriptive, not prescriptive. So what that means, the difference between prescriptive and descriptive, the stat on the sheet describes a state that already is rather than telling you how to behave, right? So alignment, here's the example. Alignment in Dungeon World is prescriptive, right? Alignment in Dungeon World says, if you are good, I will give you experience, right? Act according to, like it prescribes behavior and then you do the thing. In this game, alignment describes how your character is, but doesn't necessarily indicate to you how to act. Does that make any sense? I know they're all kind of blurred together, but let me give you an example. Let me tab back to here. So let's take a look at Mr. Reginald Belvedere. So Reggie here has 1 rank of order and no ranks of chaos. If somebody handed me this character sheet, I would instinctively know that Reggie here is slightly more inclined to wisdom than he is to rancor. But if I was given the same character sheet and it looked like that, or even this, right? This says something to me about the balance that the character is currently at. So it's a way of understanding how to illustrate your character rather than saying do this to gain this point. Okay, all right. So I think that kind of helps me get my head around how alignment works. I love the process of corruption. That was super fun. Like, corruption is a really cool mechanism to judge how you behaved in a certain circumstance. And I really, really think that while the book does give us chaos offenses, this is another thing that you could tweak to. Now, you remember how I've said before that tables are setting, right? So no, there's no explicit setting in Zweihander. You kind of build it yourself, but this tells us about the world, right? Like, this is different. This world is different from our own, above and beyond all the other reasons. But I, as a person, Adam Coble, I can, let's see, where's the blasphemy? Openly mocking the gods. Oh yeah, I owe Reggie. Yeah, there you go. I can openly mock the gods, and I'm not going to get corrupted by it. Watch this. I'm going to do it. Okay, you ready? Hey, Thor, you suck. I'm fine. No tentacles, no eye stalks, nothing. I'm doing great. So, it tells us, this tells us about the world, right? It tells you what the gods care about. It tells you what the abyssal princes care about. So these are really cool. So they build up. Did I see that corruption can get you killed? You can only have disorders up to your WB. There's no way we have enough sessions for anyone to worry about that. Yeah, because best they can do is get 1 chaos rank per session. So there's no way that we have to worry about that. But I did see that. Yes, because eventually your character just becomes unplayable. So that is something that I was noticing too. I really like that. Well, and that was the sort of funny joke that we could infer shift reset that, because it's a minor offense to gaslight a friend or loved one. These are just suggested examples, but if we do that thing where the exception proves the rule, or the fact that it specifies friend or loved one, then you could theoretically assume that gaslighting a stranger doesn't attract the attention of chaos. But here's the thing, right? And I think corruption it's a fitting word, but I think that when you say, oh, he's corrupt, or oh, they're suffering corruption, it implies to you that it is something that they have control over, right? It implies that you do this dance, right? Kind of normally in the world. But anyway, I guess the point I was trying to make is that these are things that give us suggestions, and when you do them, they make you vulnerable to the insurgence or the incursion of chaos. And this is why, like, when I posted these on Twitter, a lot of people were confused because they saw corruption and they were like, oh, you're bad. You do corrupt things. But what it really is it's vulnerability to becoming corrupted, right? So suffering an injury makes you vulnerable to corruption. Someone on Twitter pointed out that the way they phrase it is that it creates vulnerability to corruption when someone commits violence against you. That breaks down your defenses, and trauma is inherently opening the door to being corrupted, which completely makes sense, because if you're building a chaos cult and you want people to become corrupted, you just dehumanize them and beat the shit out of them, right? So you hurt them, you harm these people to break down their resistance, and they become corrupt. It's like it's eerily, like, if you know anything about the way cults work, it's eerily similar in that sense of being like, well, I'm gonna derive you of creature comforts. I'm gonna torture and abuse you, which corrupts me. But also, as we do this, as we injure you, you become more susceptible, so that as we encourage you to do bad things like torture and murder, you're already ready to absorb. It's quite cool. So that's the bit that is a little confusing because getting injured gives you corruption because it opens you to demons. It opens you up to the abyssal powers. Yeah. So those are a couple of the systems that grabbed me, right? The order and chaos, the corruption thing. Those are fun, and they feel. I'm a big sucker for end of session behavior, like for like kind of downtimey stuff, and I really like it. And so getting to do that little end of session ritual, where we're like, all right, everybody, how did we do? Let's check for chaos. It's the same as getting Fate and Persona and Burning Wheel. I love the cooldown. I love taking 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the end of a session and talking over what just happened, and then making rolls and doing that. So I think you'll see that as Mr. Bolvedier and Dawn and Lucia and Vander continue moving through the world, they are going to suggest to me when they take corruption, right? And we'll have that little discussion at the end, like, do we think that the thing that you did opened you up to attacks by demons? Or no, right? Or was this, like, because somebody asked in chat, how do you define an innocent person, right? We'll talk about that. And I think the idea is to leave that vague so that we can have those conversations, right? Like, what makes a person innocent or not? And the game doesn't assume, right? The game doesn't assume that. It leaves that open so that you can figure it out. And maybe for some tables, it's like, how many chaos ranks do they have, or how corrupt are they? Or for other tables, it's like, let's talk about this person's actions, or what do we know about them, or from whose perspective, right? Does killing a rich noble, breaking into their house, killing the rich noble, does that give us corruption and we just have to suffer through it because it's still the right thing to do? Or do we find another way to do it so that we don't suffer corruption, because corruption means moral badness? But again, in this system, corruption doesn't. Corruption simply means vulnerability to dark power, and you can use that, right? Satan can't slip in through the door if you throw the door wide open and invite Satan in, right? Exactly. Yeah. No, by default, no violence is justified, no matter how depraved the enemy, right? You have to find like reasons to. And in this, I think it's fair to assume, because we talked about this in the first session, there is a fair amount of reason to believe that most of the people they are hunting are in fact not innocent. But that doesn't mean that committing murder upon them doesn't still get you corruption. A bad person killing another bad person is still bad, right? Premeditated murder is still, in the eyes of the gods and in the eyes of the world, that's the thing. So how is violence? I mean, violence is defined in a bunch of different ways, right? A lot of these minor offenses are violence. A lot of the middling offenses are violence. They're not all psychic violence. They're not all physical violence. It's both, right? So in the same way, torment is a form of violence. I think if you're an executioner, part of your job is just suffering corruption for doing what you're doing, for committing like legal premeditated murder, essentially. But again, like you would talk about this with your group and build that stuff up in the same way that we have in session 0, and we'll continue. In a way, the game invites conversations about in-universe morality simply by having that mechanism. It is quite a cool system. So yeah, so we'll learn more about corruption and how it fits into the world as we go. Right now, for me, my main concern is just making sure that I have stuff that I need to keep the narrative of the game moving forward. So let's get into the details of today's prep. So in the last session, we talked about the last GM prep session. We talked about some of the material we need to look at, right? The rewards, which we figured out. We talked about alignment, had to make sure I was doing that. And then the goals for the session, the current situation, and then just talk about like what's involved. So what I think this session is going to end up being is, if the first session was kind of action oriented, right? If the first section was action stuff, I think this is going to be an opportunity to sort of slow things down a little. So the goals are going to be slow down a bit and explore, right? Learn about the characters, personalities, and their interactions, right? We want to introduce the character of the city of Philos, right? So we want to introduce Philos as a character, and underneath that, we want to introduce Archie the Houndmaster. We want to introduce the Smile family, because I kind of cliffhangered, or not really cliffhangered, but like implied like, hey, here's the thing. We want to show the chaos that exists in the wake of the revolution. We also want to, let's see, show the attempt of the illuminated masters of saving or protecting, like show the attempts of the illuminated masters to gain control of the chaos, right? So like there's chaos, it's still happening. There's still backstabbing and murder and all this stuff. And then there's these illuminated masters trying to gain control, and they're working with the Smile family. So it's like the tenor is everything is like walking a very thin line between total shutdown, right? So we've accomplished the goal of getting rid of the main bad guys, or we're in the process of that, but we're still trying to rebuild. We're still dealing with the ramifications. So that's kind of what I want to show. And then also like illustrate in a loose way the difference between ideology and reality, right? So like the revolution has changed things. We did the revolution and that is it. Yeah, like it has happened. Now everything is fine, but in reality, people are still hungry. Like people are still suffering. There's still violence, right? There's a lot going on that the illuminated masters have not had an opportunity to get their hands on. So let's look at old business, right? So what is left over from the last session that we haven't really resolved yet? And this is pretty easy. So old business is turn in what's his nuts, right? Turn in and be rewarded for the capture of Duke Beetleborough. Find someone to buy the Duke's dueling pistols. All right. Introduce Archie and maybe some other hunters, and then give them their next mission, which I think now I'm going to make the end of the next session, not oh yeah, don't they brought the body too, right? Okay. And then also find someone, Jesus Christ, to buy 2 dead bodies. Great, good resurrection men. Okay, so and then give them their next mission, the Hawk in hiding. So let me grab from my last prep. Let me grab everything from there. So let's see here. Okay, so we'll copy all that. All right. Yeah, that's right. Maximiliano, etc., etc. Yes, his full name is Prince Maximiliano Federico Cesario Maria Esperine. Everybody calls him either Prince Max, Prince Maximiliano, but mostly he's the hawk in hiding, and he's definitely alive. So, okay. So this is all old business as well. Okay. So let's see. What do we need for today? I guess I need some NPCs. NPCs. Oh, and what do we name? We named that bar, right? So locations. We called it the Flea. The Flea and Flintlock. That's what it was called. The Flea and Flintlock. Yeah, okay. So the Flea and the Flintlock, and that is a tavern and hangout for the various toughs that are employed in the hunter's trade. It's kind of like we got kind of a Bloodborne thing going. Like I think I'm gonna play Archie as close to a Dark Souls NPC as I can manage. He's gonna have like kind of a weird voice and like maybe a British accent. And he'll probably have a big hat. Yeah. Okay, so the Flea and Flintlock, a tavern and hangout for the various toughs employed in the hunter's trade. He always laughs at the end of his dialogue, exactly. I need a doctor. Right? Someone they already know that I can suggest to Lucia, like, hey, maybe Dr. whatever would be interested. I think I want a German name for this doctor. Like Heinrich or Yancey. Let's see. Let's see here. I'll grab where's my name generator? Oh, I was name generator. Give it to me. There it is. Oh my God. Yes. He should definitely talk like H.R. Giger. Let's find a good Swiss name to give him. Limburgish? So there's no Swiss on here, so we'll just do German and French. German? Okay, here we go. Wendell! Wendell Dunst. Iris Lemieux. Eric Koenig. Everyone knows German and French equals Swiss. Listen, it's the closest I can manage. Wolf Brenner. Dr. Wolf. Dr. Brenner is pretty good. Ooh, Dr. Heinze. Professor Frederick Durst. I do like Heinze or Heinze, something like that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's call him Dr. something Heinze. Heinze? How is it spelled? Heinze and Pfaff in pattern recognition. Let me look. Heinze and Pfaff, maybe? Let me see. Ooh, Karl Heinz Pfaff. That's a good one too. Let's do that. Let's call him that. I say Carl, Mr. Condiments at this point. Yeah, Karl Heinz. There you go. Dr. Pfaff. Perfect. Okay, let's do that. So, Dr. Karl Heinz Pfaff, a former doctor of the Esperine College of Surgery. Not defrocked, but like disbarred. What are they called? Like when you lose your medical license, is there a word for that? Obviously got kicked out for fiddling with corpses. Doctor of the Esperine College of Surgery. It's not quite like disbarred. It's like, yeah, lost his license for unlawful interfering with the dead. But was exonerated by the Illuminated Masters during the confusion. Quote unquote exonerated. Basically, the records of his arrest got burned in a fire, and he escaped from jail, and now he's fine. He didn't get punished for his unlawful interfering with the dead. So he's doing fine. Okay. So let's move him to the NPC list. We also need a something about like the market, right? The Free People's Economic Activity Zone or the market. Because you know how we talk about things having like revolutionary names and then their previous names? It used to just be like, let's call it the Old Town Market. But now it's called the Free People's Economic Activity Zone. Like, welcome to the activity zone. And this is an open square that holds artisans, farmers, etc. And at night, a bustling market of less like legitimate goods, quote unquote, contraband, right? Okay, all right. Yeah, illicit is definitely the word for sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it doesn't really have the same, it doesn't have the same ring to it. I'm gonna take my horse to the Free People's Economic Activity Road. Okay, all right. So, do I need anything else? The Flea and Flintlock, they probably... Oh, I guess I could also put in, like, the Smile Family Estate if they feel like going there. I don't know why they would. The former mansion turned cult compound inside the city. A kind of embassy for new members. Free plots. Yeah. I like that. The free place. Free plots. It is pretty good. But yeah, I like that. That's good. Okay. Smile Family Estate. It's a mansion that they own inside the city. Yeah. An embassy for new members and events. Okay. This is like a place where they hold events. And then Smile Family Estate. I don't know that I need too much more than those things off the top of my head. I can always wing it and ask the players for more, but I guess also where do the PCs live? And then also where do the ogres mostly stay in Philos? Right? These are stakes questions, really. Actually, you know what? Let's do that. Let's create a new section here. Stakes questions. There we go. So where do the PCs live? Where was the other one? Where do the ogres stay in Philos? Do the PCs have any friends, or are they mostly outsiders? Things I'm curious about. Let's see. Oh, what does that mean? Stakes? So what stakes questions are is like what I'm interested in as the GM. Like, what do I want to know during this session? I suppose will Mr. Bolvadier, which, can I just say, somebody said this, where is Dracula? So somebody said this during the last session. They said Mr. Bolvadier sounds like what somebody would name their bong. And that made me laugh really hard. That's my bong, Mr. Bolvadier. Let's take a hit. Let's go. All right. Will Mr. Bolvadier look into the rumors that a royal family member is still alive? Yeah, he's the weed butler. Yeah. Yeah, is there an Ogre Town? Yeah, that's exactly. So, like, where do the PCs live? At the FNF or elsewhere? Do they rent? If so, where? How about, do they live together? Or apart? Also, somebody said that Lucia reminded them of Pam from Archer, and I was just like, yeah, she's Amos from The Expanse mixed with Pam from Archer. So I guess then, will Lucia join the Yakuza and go street racing? Okay, all right. Let's see. At the FNF, do they rent? If so, where? Do they live together or apart? Where do the ogres stay? Is there an Ogre Town? Do they have... What is a place where you practice yoga called? Yoga dojos? What is that? There's a name for like the place you do yoga, but I can't remember. It's like it's a studio, but Yojo. Yeah, like sanctuaries. There's like an actual name, but I can't remember what it is. But yeah, I think, do they have studios, temples, like holistic treatment centers? Yeah, right. I think Ashtanga might be the thing I was thinking of, but yeah, meditation centers. Yeah, like tell me about this, please. It's just going to be me asking my players like a ton of questions to help me build the setting of former Imperial Esperine, right? Yeah, ashram might also have been a word I was thinking of. Yeah, something like that. Okay. The PCs have any friends? Are they mostly outsiders? Like, who do they know? If we needed a skill, and let me go look. If we need a skill to stand in as circles, because you know me, I love that shit. What skill or ability would we use for that? Like, how well can I? It'd be a fellowship skill. Maybe it's just fellowship. Like without any skill ranks. Yeah, maybe something like that. Okay, we'll think about that. Handle animal. I mean, that's how I feel about having to have friends. Okay, you can come back, scary face. This is my face when I saw the logo for the new Dune movie. Okay. All right, so in case that's a thing, I guess they can... You know, do we need a circles mechanism in the game? Bring it up when NPCs first come up, right? Discuss that with the group. Boop, boop. Okay. That's good. Okay. Will Mr. Bolvadier look... Okay, and the other thing is, like, for that, I think I'm going to need to goad... I'm going to need to poke Masood again about this, because the only time that he heard it was at the very beginning. So let's have the Duke complain one last time that he knows a royal family member who escaped. Right? One last little like, hey, come on, you've got a chance to back out of this, and then they can go and look. Okay. All right, so I need these locations. We got that sorted out. We have the market, Smile family, Flea and Flintlock, and then we'll figure it the rest as we go. NPCs, we got Dr. Karl-Heinz Pfaff. They probably know like a fixer too, right? Like a lady who can sell stolen goods for them.